Is it audible? Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today we will continue with the travel demand management methods. So I think screen is visible, right? Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Wait a minute. Okay. Now the PPT is visible, right? Now check it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the last class, we were discussing about travel management, that is demand management techniques, that is indirect methods and direct methods. That is indirectly controlling the traffic movement. We have discussed, that is by making the road pricing and all those things. Today we will see what are the direct methods so that we can easily control the movement of traffic. So in the last class we have discussed about the indirect methods, that is making the vehicles, that is without creating any inconvenience, comfort, discomfort, and highly efficient traffic. So some of the indirect methods are, that is banning a particular class of vehicle during daytime or nighttime, especially during nighttime the heavy trucks are avoided. Then kindly wait a minute. So banning of particular class of vehicles at a certain time, that is during night time or daytime, and making the auto free zones means prohibition of vehicles, no movement of vehicles, that is vehicles are prohibited, making that type of regulation, so we can reduce the travel demand. Then special bus lanes and streets, that is providing a special bus lane, especially when you go for Outer Ring Road near Marathalli or Silkboard Junction. There you can observe a separate traffic lane or bus lane are provided for movement of buses. Then prohibition of entry and turns and limited access facilities. That is prohibiting the left turning movement, especially in the intersection. Okay, especially in the intersection, prohibition of entry and turns, and providing limited access so that we can control the travel demand. Next is the direct methods. So those are the indirect methods. The next thing is direct methods. What are all the things we are going to discuss in this direct method is first one is parking control. There is making the vehicles, that is controlling the parking facility. Okay, controlling the parking facility. That is providing the, if we stop the provision of parking facility means in turn, the road users will not be using their own vehicle. They will be using the public transports, thinking that parking facility is not available. Road and bridge tolls. That is making the roads and bridges as tolls. Okay, with the toll, that is by paying some amount, utilizing the road, or after using the road or bridges, if we are paying some amount means we can easily avoid. Why? Because the people will think that we have to pay. So they think like that we have to pay and we are going to use the road or use the bridges. So if we go by private vehicles, we have to pay the toll tax or toll fee. But if we go by public transport system means there is no provision of paying this road and bridge tolls. Then comes the road pricing, especially in the nice road. Whenever you visit nice road in Bangalore, you can observe that first you have to pay. You have to pay before using the road. So remember, tolls and road pricing is different. Tolls means after the using of the road we are going to pay the amount, but road pricing means first you have to pay before using. That is before using the nice road you have to pay some amount so that we are utilizing the road. and you are going to use. But in the tolls, what you are going to do? First you are going to utilize the road. First you are going to use the road, then you are going to pay the amount. Then odd even auto traffic restraint, that is odd and even, that is whether may be vehicle number, that is by adopting a vehicle number, that is odd and even, or days in a week, whether days in a week. Based on that, we are going to control the traffic. Especially this thing is already in New Delhi. Have you observed this one? Have you heard about this one? Odd and even traffic in New Delhi? Kindly respond. Have you observed in news or anywhere? Yes or no? Am I audible right? Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in New Delhi, we can see this odd even auto traffic restraint. Then staggering of office hours. That is changing the timings of the office hours so that we can easily reduce the traffic volume on the road. Thereby, we can easily control the traffic. Okay, especially during the peak hours we can easily control. Okay, not in the non-peak hours. So in the peak hours, if you change the or if you alter the office hours, means we can easily reduce the traffic. So these are the some direct methods of travel demand management, so that we can easily control the traffic movement in the area. So the first one is parking control. So parking controls are the most widely used form of restraint in almost all the cities of the world. Okay, what they are thinking means the parking control. If we are not providing the parking, means they will not use the private vehicle. They will be coming in the public transport system. So we can easily avoid the traffic congestion. So what are all the things you have to remember? That is a parking controls achieve the following. Okay, if we adopt this parking control, what are all the things we are going to achieve? That is a make efficient use of parking spaces. So utilization of the parking spaces. So this is the off-street parking. So utilization of this off-street parking, so that we can accommodate more number of vehicles rather than accommodating the vehicles on the road. Then recover the cost of providing parking spaces. That is parking pricing. That is imposing some amount on the parking. That is for 1 hour. For two-wheeler it is 20 rupees, like that. For 2 hours it is 30 rupees. For 3 hours it is 60 rupees, like that. If we impose the amount, okay, so that whatever the amount we have spent for parking zone or parking area, that can be recovered back. Then reduce. What the main agenda? Reduces the congestion and prevent obstruction to moving vehicle. So we can easily avoid the congestion in the parking. So if we provide a separate parking space for the vehicles, we can easily avoid the congestion and prevent obstruction to moving vehicle. So when we are discussing about congestion management, this is also one method. There is the parking pricing. So making the vehicle to pay for parking. That is for 1 hour it is 20, for 2 hours, like that. If we fix the amount for individual hours, we can easily avoid the traffic demand. That is our travel demand can be reduced. Okay, this is the first one. Second one is a road and bridge tolls. Okay, so in India, now in India they are not imposing any tolls for bridges. Okay, the bridge tolls are not there in India, but road tolls are there. Tolls are generally collected for the use of highways, bridges and tunnels and ferries. Most of these tolls are introduced to recover the cost of facilities. Whatever the cost they have invested. For example, if you have invested 2 crores for construction of the road, the same amount should be recovered to you. Simply you can't invest the amount simply. So you have to recover back that amount by installing the tolls at suitable places. So tolls are introduced to recover the cost of the facilities so provided. So whether if you are constructing a bridge, you can impose or you can install a toll at the entry of the bridge, so that you can collect the amount which is spent for the construction of the bridges. Then as alternative routes are available to motorists, this technique imposes traffic restraint only to some extent. So some people will be there thinking that why should we pay the toll? We will go by alternative route. There will be some alternative will be there. Rather than paying the toll and moving inside the road, rather than moving in the toll, some people will be thinking that searching for the alternate routes. So, which is if they are searching for alternative means the road and bridge tolls are only imposes a traffic restraint only, not effective in nature. So the bridge and road tolls are not effective in nature. Only they may imposes traffic restraint. That is, they will not be using the road where the tolls are present, but they will be searching for the alternative routes where they can move from one place to another place. So this is the road and bridge tolls which is the direct method, so that we can easily restrain the traffic movement. Only it can restrain, but it cannot avoid. Okay, only it can restrict, but it cannot avoid the traffic movement because of alternative routes. Okay, because the road users or the people are going to search for alternative routes and they are going to utilize it. Next one is road pricing. I told right the tolls. Road pricing, especially in nice road. Why I am telling this nice road means you can see there some vehicles are in majority of the nice roads. First, you will be paying the amount at the entry of the nice road. Then you are going to enter the nice road. But if you see the toll roads, after the utilization of the road, after you use for 3 hours or 4 hours, then only you are going to pay the amount at certain location. But in the nice road, you have to pay at the earlier stages and you are going to move. And road pricing, okay, that comes under this nice road. That is the best example for road pricing. It is a technique that requires drivers of certain categories of vehicle to purchase special license. Okay, so some vehicles will be there, they will be having some special license. For example, chief minister car or governor's car, they will be having some special license. So during the peak hour, we can avoid those regular vehicles and we can make some special provisions for the movement of CM or governor, especially in the central business district area, CBD. So CBD means central business district area. CBD means central business district, and it is based on the principle that the vehicles that cause congestion in the busy office and commercial area must be made to pay for it. So especially the trucks, okay, especially the trucks are going to creating congestion in the peak hours. So if we made a special precaution for the trucks and commercial vehicles means so that we can easily avoid the congestion. And public buses, school buses and emergency vehicles are normally exempted from these restrictions. So in the road pricing, we are going to avoid the public buses. We are going to eliminate public buses, school buses and emergency vehicles which are not comes under this category called road pricing. Only special vehicles with a special license are allowed to move during the peak hour traffic. Next one is odd even auto restrictions. So in Delhi, the best example is in Delhi. What they are following means throughout the week they will be having some even and odd. That is the vehicle number which ends with 2, 4, 6 and 0. They are all moving in one particular day. Then 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. These are all moving in another particular day. So what they are making means odd and even vehicle restriction. So for example, on Monday we are having 24680, the number which are ends with the 24680, and on Tuesday the number which ends with the 579. So alternative days the vehicles can utilize the road. So if we provide this odd and even auto restrictions, so we can easily avoid the more number of vehicles on the road. Why? Because on Monday only the numbers which ends with the even number is going to utilize the road. On Tuesday only the number ends with the odd number, it is going to utilize the road. But On Monday, if there is any vehicle which ends with these numbers are entering the road, means they are going to put fine and they are going to cancel their driving license. So this is adopted in New Delhi. Have you observed this one? Kindly respond. Have you observed this one? Odd and even auto restrictions. Have you
Yes,
observed?
sir.
Yes, it is observed in New Delhi. That is making the vehicles are not only on the vehicle number and certain designated days also. That is on Monday only odd number and Tuesday only even number. Like that they have made the rule. So if we made that odd and even restrictions means we can easily reduce the traffic movement. That is we can easily avoid the more number of vehicles which are moving on the road. Next one is a staggering of working hours. So as we all know that usually the working hours will start from 9 to 5 p.m. So if during this 9 to 5 p.m. early morning 8, 7 or 8 a.m. the traffic congestion is going to start. Okay, traffic congestion is going to start. So if we change the working hours, okay, for from 10 to 6 p.m. like that, if there is any alteration in working hours means the congestion time, the vehicle users also changing their time rather than, for example, for 9 a.m. office, you may leave the home at 8 a.m. But if we change the time to 10 a.m. rather than leaving at 8 a.m., you may leave at 9 a.m. so that the traffic at 10 a.m. can be reduced. So if we change the working hours, that is if we alter the working hours means we can easily achieve this travel demand, or we can easily reduce the number of vehicles which are moving at the peak hour. Especially in the peak hours you can adopt this staggering of working hours, not in non-peak hours. Especially in the peak hours we can easily reduce the traffic congestion by altering the working hours, and staggering, remember, the staggering does not reduce the total demand, it only evens out the demand to manageable. That is, for example, I will give best example. Let us consider at 8 a.m. the number of vehicles are moving is 1200 vehicle per hour. Okay, at 8 a.m. it is moving like this. Initially at 9 a.m. The vehicles are moving at 600 vehicle per hour. So this is for 10 a.m. to 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. working hours. That is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. working hours, and this is for 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. working hours. So if we alter the working hours, that is if we convert this 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. so at 8 a.m. the traffic is going to reduce, that is 900 vehicle per hour. At 9 a.m. It is reduced to increased to, here also it is 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Here also it is 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So initially it was 1200, now it is reduced to 900. Initially it was 600, it is increased to 900. So staggering does not reduce, it will not reduce the total demand. The total demand is 1800 vehicles per hour. It is as it is not changing, but it is divided equally, or it is proportioned equally, or it is distributed equally in proportions. So the 1800 vehicles are distributed between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. So it will not reduces the total demand, but it will changes, or it will alters the number of vehicles which are utilizing the road during that time. Okay, this is about staggering of working hours. That is, if we change the working hours, so we can easily proportion, or we can easily distribute the traffic among the timings, but the total demand is not disturbed. Okay, the total demand is not reduced, only the distribution is altered. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear? Is it clear? Kindly respond. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next very important topic is traffic segregation. So after TDM techniques, so we have seen direct and indirect method. This is the vehicle related techniques we have seen, that is by changing the time, by changing the working hours, or by reducing the traffic capacity, or by imposing the toll roads, or by imposing the parking pricing, all those things which will reduce the travel demand. And one more technique is there, that is traffic segregation. So the main agenda of the traffic engineer is to provide a safe, efficient travel for the road users. So safe, efficient travel for the road users should be achieved only when there is a segregation in the traffic. Now we know that segregation means differentiating. Okay, so segregation means differentiating. So segregation, that is a differentiating the various types of vehicle, that we are going to call it as a segregation or traffic segregation. So bifurcating or differentiating the various types of vehicles and pedestrians, that we are going to call it as traffic segregation. And in the exam this is also very important, that is traffic segregation. They will ask for 10 marks. Okay, explain traffic segregation, or explain the various types of traffic segregation. So traffic means we know only two type of traffics are there. One is the vehicular traffic, another one is pedestrian traffic. We know there are two types of traffics are there, vehicular and pedestrian traffic. And segregating the pedestrian from the vehicular traffic, or segregating the vehicular from the pedestrian traffic, that segregation we are going to call it as traffic segregation. Again the traffic segregations are divided into vehicle segregation, pedestrian vehicle segregation, and time segregation. So as the name itself indicates, vehicle segregation means segregating or bifurcating or differentiating the vehicle and vehicle, whether it may be a fast moving vehicle, segregating the fast moving vehicle with the slow moving vehicle, that is segregating the fast moving vehicle or slow moving vehicle, whether it may be a segregating the buses by the regular traffic, whether it is segregating the two wheeler from the regular traffic, whether segregating the bicycles from the regular traffic. So that type of segregation, that is segregating the fast moving and slow moving vehicle, or whether it may be segregating the two wheeler with the four wheeler, like that if we differentiate, or if we divide, or if we bifurcate that traffic, especially in the vehicle classes, means that type of segregation we are going to call it as vehicle segregation. The second one is a pedestrian vehicle segregation. So pedestrian vehicle segregation, as the name itself indicates, there is a segregating the pedestrians from the vehicular traffic, especially at the intersection. If we segregate the pedestrian from the vehicular traffic by providing the zebra crossing, by providing the skywalks, by providing the underground subways for pedestrian, so that we can easily segregate the pedestrian and vehicle segregation. And last one is time segregation, that is during some time, that is during night time, prohibition of trucks. So we are segregating the trucks during daytime, so that we are not allowing the trucks to move during the daytime, but the trucks are allowed to move during night time. That is a segregation by time. We will see in detail one by one what is this vehicle segregation. First one is segregation principles are being applied all over the world to separate the slow moving traffic from the fast one, especially in the central business district. So central business district means the area with population more than 5 lakh. So the area with population more than 5 lakh, that we are going to call it as a central business district. So here in the vehicle segregation, what we are going to do means we are going to separate slow moving traffic from the fast one, especially in the central business district area. Especially, for example, if you consider Bangalore. So in Bangalore, they have made a separate bus lane. That is, the bus is a slow moving traffic, but 4-wheeler and 2-wheeler are fast moving traffic. So segregating the slow moving traffic from the fast moving traffic, that type of segregation we are going to call it as vehicle segregation. And this can be achieved simply by imposing certain legal restrictions. That is by applying some legal restrictions. That is making the separate path or installation of traffic signs stating that only 4-wheelers are only entry for 4-wheelers, only entry for 2-wheelers, like that. If we have some legal restrictions, we can easily segregate the slow moving traffic by fast moving traffic. Then the lorry traffic wherever possible is confined to outer areas and restriction imposed on their movement during peak periods. So I was telling, right, in Bangalore especially, the lorries or the heavy vehicles or heavy loaded trucks are made to move along the outer ring road. Okay, that is outer areas, they are going to make them to move, thereby segregating the slow moving vehicle towards the outer skirts of the city, rather than allowing the heavy loaded trucks into the city. There also we can achieve that vehicle segregation. That is, the heavy trucks are moving in the outskirts of the city, but the fast moving vehicles are moving in the inner side of the city. That is, during peak hour, if we avoid these trucks or heavy moving vehicles, we can easily achieve this vehicle segregation. And on major roads where sufficient width is available, separate lanes are designed for especially I told, right, when you go for outer ring road near Silk Board Junction, Marathalli and BTM, there you can observe that a separate bus lanes are provided. Okay, in the outer ring road, they have provided a separate bus lane where the width is available, so that they have provided a extra lane for the buses, stating that the fast moving vehicles are moving inner side of the road and the slow moving vehicles are moving outer side of the road. And if we go for vehicle segregation, means we can easily avoid the accidents, we can easily avoid the congestion, and if there is no congestion, means the delay will be less. If the delay is less, means the travel time will be very less, and we can save the money also. So remember, vehicle segregation means separating the vehicles, especially separating out the fast moving vehicles with the slow moving vehicles, or slow moving vehicles with the fast moving vehicles. How this can be achieved? By providing a separate lane wherever the width of the road is more, we can provide. And when there is a provision of movement of heavy vehicles in the outer skirts of the city, there also we can achieve this vehicle segregation. Okay, remember, simply remember, vehicle segregation, separating the slow moving vehicle with the fast moving vehicle by imposing some legal restrictions. And for example, if you are writing, means in Bangalore they have made separate bus lane and separate normal traffic lane, so that we can easily segregate the vehicles and thereby reduction in the congestion and delay. Okay, is it clear? Vehicle segregation, is it clear? Kindly respond. Is it clear?
Sir.
Okay. Next one is a pedestrian vehicle segregation. I was telling right, major cause for the road accidents is the pedestrians who are walking on the road. Again, a pedestrian vehicle. Here also you are going to separate it out, the pedestrians who are using the road and the separating the vehicles which are using the road. That type of segregation we are going to call it as pedestrian vehicle segregation. And the pedestrian vehicle segregations are also divided into 4 category. One is longitudinal segregation, that is longitudinal segregation, construction of sidewalks or footpaths or raised footpaths. So if we provide a separate footpath, you can observe here, if we provide a separate footpath means the pedestrians who are walking on the road will be shifted to footpath and they will be using the footpaths. And skywalks also, we can call it as skywalks, footpaths and subways also we can provide. Then lateral segregation, that is the zebra crossing, refuge island, railings along central division. So if we provide zebra crossing, okay, this is the zebra crossing where you can see this in the traffic signals. So if we provide zebra crossing and a separate pedestrian signal for pedestrians means we can easily avoid the traffic congestion and we can easily segregate the pedestrian and vehicle in the road. Then that is pedestrian traffic signal. If we provide proper pedestrian traffic signal means they will be using that signal rather than using the road. Then foot over bridges, pedestrian subways and skywalks. I told right, in majority of the roads of Bangalore, they have made this provision. That is the pedestrian vehicle segregation, either by providing the subways or by providing the pedestrian signals or by providing the zebra crossing or by providing the skywalks. Especially in majority of the major roads in Bangalore, they are provided with skywalks and subways. Okay. Next is a total segregation, complete pedestrianization. So, under the pedestrian vehicle segregation, there is one more term called total segregation. Complete pedestrianization means there will be no vehicles will be moving, only the pedestrians will be using. No vehicles are allowed, only pedestrians will be using the road. For example, Avenue Road. When you go for Avenue Road, only the pedestrians will be using the road rather than using the vehicles. So the best example is Avenue Road. Avenue Road is the best example for this total segregation, where only pedestrians will be using. The people will be walking on the road, those who will be using the road rather than the vehicles. And that area we are going to call it as pedestrian plaza. Then spatial segregation, that is bicycle tracks, bus segregation. These are also we can consider for pedestrian vehicle segregation. So remember, in the pedestrian vehicle segregation, separating out or differentiating the vehicle and the pedestrians on the road by various techniques, longitudinal segregation, lateral segregation, total segregation and spatial segregation. So longitudinal means by providing the footpaths and raised sidewalks and raised footpaths we are providing means they will be using the footpath rather than using the road, so that we can easily segregate. Lateral segregation by providing the zebra crossing, refuge islands, then pedestrian signals, foot over bridges, then subways, skywalks. Those are all the things where we can segregate the vehicle and the pedestrian. So if we provide skywalks or subways, the pedestrians will be using the skywalks. They will not be entering on the road. They will be using the skywalks and they will be moving from one part of the road to another part of the road. And in the pedestrian signals also, if we provide a separate pedestrian signal, there also we can achieve this lateral segregation. Then total segregation, I told right, completely pedestrianization. There will be no movement of vehicles, only the pedestrians will be using the road. For example, Avenue Road in Bangalore, only the people or the pedestrians will be using the road rather than the vehicles will be using. So Avenue Road is the best example for total segregation, and that area we are going to call it as pedestrian plaza, converting all the roads into pedestrian walks or footpaths so that we can avoid the vehicles. Then spatial segregation, that is by providing the bicycle tracks, that is separate bicycle tracks and a bus lane for segregation. Those comes under this pedestrian vehicle segregation. Is it clear? Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Last one is a time segregation. So time segregation is meant to regulate the movement of vehicles by time of the day. So what will happen in this time segregation means we are going to avoid certain vehicles, certain type of vehicles during daytime. During daytime. So we can easily bifurcate the slow moving vehicle and fast moving vehicles during daytime. That is by imposing the time restriction. Okay, time restraint or time restriction to the slow moving vehicles like heavy loaded trucks. I think you all know that in our India or in Bangalore, we can say that the heavy loaded trucks are not moving inside the city during daytime. Only during the night time they will be allowed to enter into the city. That is after 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. they can use. So during this time or other than this time, that is from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. we can say, during that time the heavy loaded trucks are not made to allow to enter into the city. So time segregation is meant to regulate the movement of vehicles by time of the delay. Why it is called time segregation? So with respect to the time we are going to restrict the movement of the vehicle, thereby separating the fast moving vehicles and slow moving vehicles. And for example, the heavy vehicles are not allowed during the peak hours in busy areas. So this is the best example. That is heavy vehicles are not allowed during the peak hours in busy area. That is the heavy vehicles are not allowed during the peak hours in busy area, especially inside the city. For example, if you consider Malleshwaram, or if you consider KR Market, or if you consider Basongudi like that, or Chamrajpet, there the heavy vehicles are not allowed during the daytime. Why? Because the traffic congestion is more, or the traffic jam is going to take place in that area when we allowed this heavy loaded trucks or slow moving traffic. Okay, this is all about time segregation. That is with respect to time, if we are segregating the vehicles or separating the vehicles, means that we are going to call it as time segregation. Okay, is it clear? Time segregation, is it clear? Is it clear? Kindly respond. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So only one concept is left out, that is the intelligent transport system. So tomorrow I am going to come up with that last concept called intelligent transport system. After that we will wind up the traffic engineering fifth module. Okay, I am going to end this fifth module by tomorrow. That is only one concept called intelligent transport system. In that we are going to discuss about the advantages and disadvantages of intelligent transport system, what are the features, and what are the types of intelligent transport systems we have in our daily life, we are going to discuss. Okay, these are the things we are going to discuss tomorrow. That is intelligent transport system. What do you mean by intelligent transport system? What are the various methods of intelligent transport system? What are the advantages and disadvantages we are going to discuss, and where we can adopt this intelligent transport system in India, or we can say that what is the future of ITS in India, we are going to discuss. Okay, if you have any doubts regarding this, you can ask me. That is traffic segregation. Today we have discussed about the indirect methods of TDM techniques, and we have discussed about traffic segregation. That is, in the traffic segregation, 3 types are there: vehicle segregation, vehicle pedestrian, and time segregation. So these are the things we are going to come up in the, we are going to read in the 5th module. And only one topic I told, right, ITS is left out. And one more announcement for you people, that is additional IA. Those who want to take additional IA, whether it may be a first IA or second IA, you can contact me personally. Your name, your USN, and which IA you are going to take up. So the IA is scheduled on Saturday. Saturday from 3:30 to 5 o'clock the IA will be there. So everyone be ready with that. Those who are writing first IA portion should be known to you, and you have to prepare for first IA syllabus. For second IA, those who are willing to write, they can go through the syllabus of second IA and they can come up for second IA, additional IA. And those who want to improve your IA marks, they can also take up the IA. That is, whether it may be first IA or second IA, it's your wish. You can take up the improvement IA to improve your IA marks, or if you are satisfied with the marks what you have scored, you can hold your marks. That is, you can take up your marks. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear? How many of you are willing to take improvement IA? Irrespective of the branches, whether it may be mechanical, mechatronics, CS, IS, anybody can take the improvement IA. Okay, Allu Mohan Kumar is going to. So kindly WhatsApp me which IA you are going to take up. Okay, which IA you want to take up, kindly text me, so that for them only I can allot the question paper. In the MS Teams, for them only I can allot the question paper. So kindly WhatsApp me. Those who have already WhatsApp me, so again WhatsApp me stating that which IA you are going to take up. This is an opportunity for you to improve your IA marks, or to get your IA marks. Those IA marks are not written. Those who are absent for IA, they can take up the IA. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll stop here.